Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've posted any videos or any clears, and this is the reason why. I've been playing Same Same Same. It is Fire Shark in the West by Toaplan from 1989. This is the one-player Japanese original version that was, as legend has it, tuned way up in difficulty to kind of account for the fact that shooting game players had gotten really good at these games by the late 80s and were staying on cabs too long and making arcade operators mad. So Toaplan decided, I know, why don't we just make a satanically difficult uh, shooting game that no one will be able to get past the third level of, even those expert players. And that's what this game is. It is a comically difficult game. You have to, basically memorize every inch of it if you are, wanting to go the distance for even a single loop clear. And in spite of that fact, there's a lot that I really love about it and think is pretty ingenious. So I'm going to try and pepper that stuff in as I talk about the game mechanics and my route for this. So you'll see a lot of me point blanking these rows of guns. That's just again, just like a memo thing, learning where the enemies are placed. But what throws off your memo in this game is this green power-up weapon floating around. Normally, you would kind of pay no mind to a power-up item like this, but in Same Same Same, it's pretty much your main adversary. More than any biplane, more than any tank, those green squares are going to be the bane of your existence, because they begin to bounce around the screen randomly when they come up in the item drop order, and even the way they bounce off walls is itself kind of random and not tied to any clear physics reasoning or anything like that. So basically, as much as you can and should memorize Same 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 if you're going to take it seriously for a clear, you can only do that and rely on that so much, because so many item drops occur in this game, and so often you don't want those drops. You don't want to pick them up. The green weapon is not useful. It's underpowered, it has no screen control, and picking it up basically sets a timer to your imminent doom, basically. So you want to avoid it, and you want to avoid the red power up for roughly the same reason. For most of the game, you want this screen controlling blue shot, but those green squares, the difference between the red and the green is the red clear off the screen super quickly, the green stay around for something ridiculous like 20 seconds. So keep that in mind. That's a big part of this game. Another big part of this game is point blanking these bosses with 30 hertz auto fire. You're going to see that a lot. I have one button mapped to 10 hertz auto fire, which is what you see me doing right here. One button mapped to 30, which is how I laid on that to destroy those two big vans that drop down, trucks or whatever they are. And then one button mapped to regular shot without auto fire, because you need that for the flamethrower weapon, and then one button for bomb. So a 2-button game becomes a 4-button game if you're gonna, again, take it really seriously for a clear. The scoring system is that you pick up those lightning bolts throughout a level. Each one is worth 1,000 points, and then the total accrual of points from the lightning bolts, let's say like 10,000, is multiplied by the number of bombs you have at the end of the level. So in that case, it would have been 40,000. I don't know if it was. I'm just giving the example of 10 times 4. That would be the... I didn't quite see what I got there at the end of stage 1, but that's the formula. So in terms of routing this part, this early kind of piece of the game, a lot of it I'm just trying to kind of deal with Zako, these popcorn enemies, in a way that is consistent at all, from run to run. And so all these movements that I'm doing are very precise. They're very repeatable, and again, as long as there's no item or weapon power-up item on screen, it's something that you can do every single time and be confident that it's going to work. Sometimes, though, there is the added wrinkle of the auto fire, you'll see even with the 10 hertz, as I'm further down the screen, it does leave a little gap. It's not a consistent stream of fire, and the way the enemies zigzag around the screen, sometimes they'll like get in between those, get in those gaps and get missed by your fire. So there's a ton of frustration to be had in like very meticulously routing the game, and then 1 or 2 times out of 10 your route just doesn't work out because your gaps and your fire just happen to let a plane through. That's the level of precision that you're kind of operating on when you play Same Same Same. It's I'm sure quite annoying for the average player, but if you're a true sicko like I guess I am, there's something about conquering this game that just felt like I needed to do it. So one of my like unique strats, I guess, is staying up to kill those 4 sets of red planes, and then kind of baiting the boats to shoot me on the left and wrapping back around and down to the right. And this tank maze is pretty consistent to deal with, actually, as scary as it looks. You just kind of swing from side to side, but you really have to like watch every single tank and have an eye on them, just in case, again, your auto fire misses one. You have to kind of like keep in mind, okay, that one's still alive, and be ready to dodge it when you cut back. There's a lot of that, tracking individual enemies and just making sure they're dead in playing this game. This boss is one of my least favorite parts of the game. I really hate it. I hate that first section of it where the tanks are popping out on either side. It's very dangerous. They like to shoot right when they get on screen, and so if you don't kill them quickly, you're overwhelmed. The safe strat is just to bomb that boss, but like, again, bombs are tied to scoring, and then scoring is tied to extends. One extend at 70,000, and then one every 200,000 points after that, and you just need as many extends as you can get in this game. There's no 2 ways around it. You're not going to luck out and like clear 8 or 9 levels, or like even 4 or 5 levels on a single life doing recovery. It's just not going to happen. You need the sheer volume of lives, and you need to accrue those in this early part of the game, while it's easy enough to avoid using bombs, quote unquote easy. It's certainly not easy. It takes a ton of routing and practice, but so anyway, scoring is extremely important, and bomb conservation is extremely important. Hence, I try to no bomb that boss as much as I might wish to bomb it, just because it's so inconsistent for me. This part with these big ships is one of the rare instances in this game where I kind of just let myself play and dodge by instinct. I've never done this. I've never done this part like the exact same way every time, or I don't usually. I'm sure you could, but like it's just kind of a release for me. Just kind of playing that fun kind of boat part that's not too difficult. It's just cutting back and like making sure those big wide spreads that the big ships shoot don't hit you. Okay, this part, otakebis are what these things are called, the diving planes. They're very unique. There's a lot to say about them, so I might save some for the times we see them later. But like generally speaking, if you're in a certain part of the screen, at every point these planes appear, you can get a 1-up from them. I won't go into super detail. You can look that up on Crossfish's guide or Shmup Wiki if you want those exact screen placements. But just know that you can get 1-ups at every point, and then they drop certain items if you are equipped with a certain item. So basically, that's again a table that you can look up. But you can strategize by having a certain weapon. Like sometimes you can switch, like I did, to the green weapon or the red weapon, because like when you have the green weapon, they're going to drop blues that you can pick back up and continue playing the game. That's kind of how to deal with the otakebis. And again, they die way faster with green or red than with blue. So that's why. So yeah, that's the logic behind switching weapons, and then being confident you'll be able to get back to your spread weapon for the rest of the level. Let's see, this part is kind of tough because these ships are coming in from both sides really far down the screen. That's kind of a theme of this game. They love to bring stuff in from the bottom or near the bottom of the screen, and they shoot really fast. The bullets are all really unforgivingly fast, and it's just not kind. It's not cool. It's a very unchill game. It wants to murder you. And so you just have to kind of memorize where those ships come out if you want to survive it consistently. That boss is really, again, I no-bombed it. You could drop a bomb to be safe, and it's pretty easy to dispatch at full power. Again, I want to conserve as many bombs as possible, and I've kind of developed a feel for those cutbacks and how you kind of got to get through those volleys of bullets that ship does. Oh my god, that was that was sketchy as hell. I'm staying on the bottom left here because there's a line of ships just off camera to the right, and I don't mess with those. I just basically, except for sneaking over to get the waves of red planes that are coming down, just for a quick second, I just don't go to the right at all during the kind of after boss section of stage 3. That's the safest way to deal with it, in my opinion. If you're underpowered, you can kind of swing around and be safe, but there is rank in this game, and so when you have this this full power shot, it's really unsafe to reveal any enemies off camera because their bullets are so fast when the rank is this high that they will snipe you. Even if you know they're there, they literally will test your bomb reaction time because the bullets are that fast. So this is a little bit of a break if you're at full power. As long as you kind of hang up the screen and have 10 hertz auto fire, these planes 99% of the time will just die and not fire at you. There is the odd chance that, again, your shot gap will let one down a little farther and they'll get something off on you, so just be really careful. But that's a little design thing that I love about Same Same Same, is that even as hard as this game is, it feels like they gave you breaks. They put little gaps in the craziness to just let you wipe the sweat off your hands, take a breath, and reset yourself for the insanity to come. And speaking of insanity, this is crazy. These big 2-turret tanks just fly down the screen and start machine gunning you. And the green power-up weapon is bouncing off the screen, around the screen, so you got to deal with that. And then these tanks on the tracks do a kind of spread pattern that begins at a random place. It's RNG, so you can't predict where they're going. Then all of a sudden you got tanks from both sides, and you got to swing back and forth really quickly. This is a very tricky part because these planes come from right behind you, and you have to just know when they're coming and be ready to move up the screen and around and mimic their movement. So very difficult stage. I do kind of love the progression of this stage and the feel for it after you get good at it and after you kind of know how it works. I think I definitely would put stage 4 kind of in my upper tier of Same 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 levels, just because I don't know, there's something I like about the movement it requires of you, and the kind of testing the edges of the stage in ways that aren't super frustrating like they are in late levels, but just yeah, it makes it feel fun and exciting and interesting. That's a big asterisk. It's when you've already practiced and basically memorized everything. That's when you can start to appreciate the kind of fun little things that you get to do. Until then, you're just in hell, dodging everything and feeling like you're dying. You're gonna die constantly. Clearly, there's a safe spot here. This whole fight goes differently if you're underpowered, but if you're at full power, your shot spread is wide enough to take care of these tanks on tracks on the right, and this boss will just die, and you can sneak over and get those lightning bolts, but be really, really careful because if the tank on the right is at a certain kind of place, his shot can then run into you, so you might have to do a little dodging. But yeah, if you don't want to get the lightning bolt, if you're at full power, if you stay right there in that line on that railroad track, you're safe. So that's good. Okay, so I got 5 bombs and multiplied by 31,000 points. So that was a good number of points right there in that level, and I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extends. Might seem like a lot. In this game, it's nothing. So definitely want more. And stage 5 is you know, if you're considering this game kind of like a 2-loop difficulty game, I haven't like really played a lot of prominent 2-loop games like a Psycho or a Cave or anything, so I don't really know if that's accurate. But to me, just in terms of like level feel and like difficulty spike within this game, it does feel like it's kind of a 2-loop experience. You've got 5 levels, this being the kind of final level of the first loop. Everything crescendos here. It's really super difficult, and it gives you at this point basically you got to memorize all of these tank placements, just so you know. Like, I'm not reacting to any of this. Basically it's all just routed, and you know, everything is predetermined as long as there's no weapon. You know, there's always the asterisk, no weapon power up on screen. So okay, didn't get lucky there. You cannot pick this blue thing up yet. It has to be the last thing you pick up, because every time you kill one of these Otakebi with your blue shot, which you have to keep to deal with the Zako on screen, it will release a green. And if you have a bunch of green on screen when you're dealing with this next part, it can mean death. So basically you leave that, oh my god, so close to dying. You leave that green, or that blue square, you have to bomb to get around it if you need to, then you kill all the Otakebi and you pick up all their green squares, and then you switch back to the blue for this section. And you can see why you need the blue for this section. It's incredibly difficult. Everything is going so fast and from all sides, and you want as much screen control as you know you can possibly get. Okay, so these tanks, they take a lot of damage, and you have to. They shoot in a really weird way, and you kind of have to be on the far right to take one out, and then sneak to the left to take the other out. That's the most consistent way to deal with them that I have found. They're really difficult, so this part will take a lot of practice. Here I'm jiggling around trying to get into what I know is a safe spot with my the kind of 2 prongs of your fire coming out of your plane. I want them underneath the 3rd digit of the you know, the 3rd from the right digit of the high score numbers. That's like the way that I line it up, and like maybe 50% of the time I can get aligned properly. The problem is diagonal movement doesn't give you smaller movement steps in this game, so you move quite a lot from side to side, and you can't make those micro adjustments at full speed, and so sometimes I just won't get aligned properly, and I have to bomb that boss to get a good point blank. But that was a good stage 5 for me. That went pretty well. 4 bombs is not too bad to come away with. Sometimes I'm at like 1 or 2, or at worst even 0. You definitely want at least 1 or 2 going into stage 6. I did a run of this game during the recent Shmup Slam 7 for Electric Underground, and something that I learned from watching the commentary from Wabby Legs and Gigi Maximo is that Crossfish, the Japanese player who loves this game and has dedicated a huge part of his life to learning it and writing about it and making all of these detailed guides. Check out that if you have interest in the game. But I kind of avoided reading all of it because I just like to learn a lot of these games myself. But he says that taking a death in stage 5 at the end is kind of a good way to make the game easier to clear, make the end game easier to lower rank. That's not something I've messed around with, but if you're kind of wanting to experiment and want to take the advice of someone who really knows what they're talking about, maybe give that a try. I chose to go into this level with full power whenever I possibly could, because I just think the screen control is amazing. These big square tanks will die. They're one of the few enemies that you can kill when they're like almost off screen, and so a lot of the time you can get away with them with killing them before they even ever fire at you. If you're fully powered up and if you're kind of careful about moving to whatever side of the screen. Oh my god. Again, just near death experiences abound in this run, I guess. Very you know, you need a little bit of luck in all difficult shooting game runs and clears and stuff. You gotta put in the work and, you know, lock in and do all the stuff that you're skilled at, but then you need that little bit of luck. Just please don't, you know, just don't die in X, Y, or Z place and just end what could be a really good thing. And luckily that happened here. Jesus, again. Holy shit. Okay. This is a little bit of a safe spot. You line it up right in the middle of the screen, and then you tap dodge as you see that fire, and then you'll see those planes miss you, and then you start swinging back and forth to the right. That's a really sketchy part of this stage 6. If you that too, where I just bombed there, I basically grew to bomb there every single time, just because that part where those tanks come from the right is so sketchy, so inconsistent for me. It would die there constantly. Stage 6 is a real bitch, I think. Really difficult and not super fun in my opinion. Like lower on the tier list of Same stages. Capping it all off is the end with all of these tanks that are just they're out to get you, and I'm gonna use a bomb here and go as far as I can to the right and take out as many as I can on the right, and then stay left, because there's a turret over to the right that will get you if you go it all over there. And if you don't take out enough of those tanks on the right, they'll basically swarm in as you're trying to get to the end of the level and shoot you from far down below the screen and kill you, or far down toward the bottom of the screen. So really difficult part. Spent a lot of, did a lot of dying in that stage, but luckily if you can get past that point where I don't even know if I mentioned it, we probably blew right by it, but there is a Zeppelin kind of enemy. Those all drop items. Holy shit, I almost died again. That gives you a 2-up item in the middle of stage 5. If you can get that 2-up item, you can be confident that you can basically die after that and have a chance of clearing. It's not 100% true fact, or something that should be taken as gospel, as oh, if you die before that, it's guaranteed your loss. But it's just a good marker for, okay, this run is going well enough, and I got these 2 extra lives on top of no missing through the first half of stage 5, and that means that I've got a real shot. And so that's when you don't reset if you die after that point. And so if you take a death on stage 6, as I often did, you keep going, and you see what happens. This part of stage 7 is so insane with all these diagonal tank lines. It's really tough to deal with. They shoot so fast, and right when they come on screen, they shoot. I do this around the world loop-de-loop to kind of deal with everything's happening simultaneously in that portion, and I used a bomb to be safe because I had one, and I just want to survive at this point as long as possible. Going into this part without a bomb, in my mind, is basically game over, because there's one section coming up that I can't do really without a bomb. I didn't route it without a bomb. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is where it ends for me. All of this is very precisely routed, what I'm doing here. And then this part right here. So you can go down here and you can deal... I don't know what the way you deal with the combination of tanks coming from both bottom right and top left, and those 2 giant planes getting in your way. It's really difficult. So my first death. in the middle of stage 7. Oh, and my second death. That really wasn't good. You don't want to die with your bombs when you're recovering. You want to use them and try and limp to the next checkpoint. We didn't even talk about it. We didn't even talk about this, but this game has checkpoints. It doesn't have, instant restart. So add that to the pile of stuff that make it brutally difficult. So, okay, I'm past that part. You can kind of hang out to the right here and move down to get away with that part without a bomb. And then here's the stage 7 boss, one of the easier bosses in the game, luckily. That I made that look kind of sketchy with those tanks, but usually you can just hang out to the left and then swoop right, and then, those are fine. These things, basically you just got to go left and then right at the bottom of the screen to take care of the tanks coming in from the bottom. They alternate sides. Your fire is wide enough, even with 3-way shot, the least powerful shot, to deal with the tanks coming in from the top. And then each of these big slow planes shoots this same just kind of rhythmic spread shot. Ooh. So I bombed there to be safe. Feel like I could have dodged that, but I just wanted to. If you have bombs and you feel like you're in a sketchy place when you're recovering and you're low power, you got to use them. So that's what I did, and I got through that bomb or that boss without much trouble. Sorry if I'm talking way too fast or not going into as much detail as I should be with this stuff. This is a tough game to commentate. It's so dense, and I would love to talk more about just why I love it. Maybe I'll do, I don't know, maybe that'll be my first real, I don't know, content video is talking about this game, the kind of cool design stuff about it. Right now I can't even think about that. There's just too much going on gameplay wise and it would be a shame not to address it, I feel like. So this part of the level with the 5-way shot is not too bad. Basically, these subs that are coming in give you bombs. Each one of them gives you a bomb, and so you can refill your entire bomb stock right here. And it's important that you do that. Basically, this is as Wabby Lake said in the commentary of the Shmup Slime run, this is a make or break stage. This is if you can get out of stage 8 in good shape, then you have a chance to clear the game. And oftentimes, you'll have, right now it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like 10 lives. You could even have 6 lives. If you get through this stage, you've got a shot. Without without basically tanking all of your lives like I did in that slam run. Look at this. It's insane. There's nothing to do here but bomb and pray as you track slowly from side to side and stream and lead the bullets and cut back. The bullets are just too fast for you to not have to bomb occasionally. Oh my god, that was really ballsy. Sometimes you gotta chance it and cut back under those boats if you know they're high enough and you can get underneath them, or if you suspect, you can never really know. And so if you can do that, again, you get an Otakebi phase, and you get the chance to get a 1-up, which I did. And then since there's all these greens on screen, I just get them, and I don't try and dodge them. I just accept that I have to deal with this boss, the first part of this boss, with the greens. That's the way I practiced, and this at full or almost full power. And then eventually an item carrier comes down and gives you blue back, and you finish it up with blue. So that's what happens here. I haven't really talked about the fact that so many of these bullets in this game, most of them are aimed, just like in any old school shooting game. It's a lot of aimed bullets that you're streaming, but then so many of these enemies shoot weird ass semi-random, these turrets. They don't aim at you. They do something weird that I can't even put my finger on what it is. And there's a lot of enemies like that in clusters that just really throw you off. It's again another layer of the like sheer difficulty of Same 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 is the shot behaviors and the mixes of them just being completely sadistic. And so that turret, that giant boat, is one of the examples of that, where it's just a crazy mix of random shots, aimed shots, stuff coming, the turrets on the right, and the stuff coming, the Zako coming down on the left, and you have to like stream underneath everything. And oftentimes, if you're too powerful, if you go over to the left, like stuff is just gonna snipe you. So that's why I like hung out to the right. Wabby Legs, another player of this game, someone who's cleared it and knows a lot about it and likes it, he likes to hang out on the left of stage 8 boss, which I think, how did I not die there? It looked like that bullet just like hit me straight on. I don't really know what happened there. So anyway, stage 8 is a sore subject for me because that's where I like lost all my lives during this shmup slam run, and I've thought a lot about it, and it's probably the correct way that to kind of hang out on the left and then launch bombs up at the turrets. If you're underpowered, instead of like dropping them like I was kind of right on top of myself and trying to use the invincibility that it provided me. But yeah, anyway, that's the stage 8 is a make or break stage is the point of all of this rambling, and luckily I got out of it in really, really good shape. And so that is going into stage 9 with this number of lives, and even having taken a death there and gone back to, I don't know why I didn't bomb there. Definitely should have bombed there. Going into stage 9 in this shape, even taking in these deaths and being underpowered, I'm feeling really good, because you can bet I've put in the time practicing this stage underpowered, because stage 8 is that hard. You're 9 times out of 10, or a little less, maybe 7 times out of 10, you're gonna take a death before like kind of the beginning of stage 9. And so you need to know how to deal with it if you're, you've only got your measly little 3-way shot. Now, luckily, I've upgraded to 5, so that's good. Jesus, a lot of close calls here. We're making it work. I've got one bomb. Probably should have used it already. There we go. And I'm going to wrap around up and to the right to dodge the rest of this and get clipped by the fucking tank. Thank you, tank. This is a kind of a tough checkpoint. I learned the best strategy was to kind of stay to the right first, and then kind of, just like use your bombs to get to the next checkpoint. That's the name of the game in the late stages of Same Same Same. Don't waste your bombs, don't waste your lives. Get to the next checkpoint. Like this is limping. Like the limp is very possible with the what I think is 9 lives that I have right now. And so just make every bomb count. Okay, this is a very routed way of dealing with this boss at low power. Oh, I don't have bombs, which I can try and do without bombs, but my strategy for this requires them, so I'm gonna have to take another death. But I did get to the next checkpoint up, so mission somewhat accomplished. Calculated, starting at the top of the screen and moving down to deal with those streams of those waves of planes. Purposefully avoided the power up to keep rank low and to save it for stage 10, because I can deal with this boss at 3-way just fine, and in fact it's preferred. So basically you damage them a little bit, you can kind of learn where the gaps in their shot will be at their kind of corners, and then you sneak up to them through their fire and bomb them and point blank them. And that's basically all there is to it. This one is tricky because there's waves of planes coming in right after this guy dies, and it's really hard to not get psyched out there and dodge the waves of planes properly. But there you go. Managed to make it work, and we are at the final stage with 8 lives left. That's really good. That's probably by far the best I've um, ever gotten through the first 9 stages of the game. So at this point, I'm feeling really good, but I'm not going to get cocky because you could easily blow 8 lives in stage 10, easily. I'm going to have to take a death right here almost no matter what, because there's the only way to get through this part is to stay in this pixel perfect place that's only where you spawn is where you can be for these planes. You'll see it, and sometimes you can maneuver in there and get lucky, but it's just you got to do this. I don't know of another way to survive that portion, so just had to take a death and refill my bombs. Okay, more Otakebi, more opportunity for a 1-up. Again, if you're in the right position. I didn't even look up the positioning for this one. Ooh, there it was. So I got it. And then because the game gives you like a long death animation, I was able to like go up and grab the 1-up as I was dying, which I think is pretty badass. So what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. I'm just fighting for my life here at low power. You're so slow. Mark after the Shmup Slam run said that it was playing this game, especially at low power, or watching it being played, is like watching a turtle try and cross the highway, which I thought was really quite apt. That's exactly what it's like. And yeah, you're just again trying to limp your way checkpoint to checkpoint and get to the end. And every life counts here. It's so important to not go on tilt and take multiple deaths in a row. You have to lock in for this stage. It's so exhausting. It's been almost 45 minutes of gameplay thus far, and oh my god, how did I not die? Super intense, action-packed gameplay, but this is nowhere else in the game requires as much lock-in as these series of checkpoints here right at the end. So it's just a brutal gauntlet. Okay. I know, this is the way to deal with these tanks. You just kind of let your 3-way shot kill them. A design element that I haven't even touched on, which I would love to touch on more again, maybe in another video at some point down the line, is how awesome this starting 3-way shot is, how useful it is. This bizarre angle of it, or the angles of it, that like if you're at the bottom of the screen, those things just fly off the screen and are useless. But if you're up on the screen and being aggressive, it's like incredibly useful and dangerous, especially with 30 hertz auto fire. And you can and the game is designed around, again, not 30 hertz auto fire, of course, but the 3-way shot being kind of useful when playing aggressively further up the screen or to the sides. It just creates a lot of interesting situations. Those 3 tanks being one of them. The sets of 3 tanks that I fought before, because each one is kind of in the line of your 3-way stream. So it's just basically almost like the game is anticipating that you'll be underpowered there, and creating these scenarios for you to utilize your lowest power shot effectively and kill these like giant enemies with it. Okay. That was just some choice late stage play to get to the final checkpoint in Same Same Same. By far the most difficult checkpoint. Has to be perfectly routed, and you could learn you could spend hundreds of hours learning the rest of the game, the 99% rest of the game. It wouldn't matter a single bit if you didn't put maybe almost as much time into learning this checkpoint alone, or the stage 10 checkpoints, as a unit. Because this can just eat your lives. I mean, I've got 4 lives here. I'm not feeling confident at all about that, and that's by far the best I've ever done getting to, the number of lives getting to stage 10. So that effort failed because I didn't have 5-way shot, which I really think, you know, I need to deal with the stage 10 boss. So now I have 2 power-up items, and a third will get me to 5-way. So this is going to be a legit attempt if I can make it out. Okay, so yeah, there we go. That's this. Now I'm at 5-way, so I'm just letting these guys. Oh, and I killed the wrong fucking Zeppelin. So I should have killed the one on the left. It gets you a speed up, but I killed the one on the right, which gets me a power up. But that's good, because if I died, that would mean another 5-way attempt. So do I execute on this route? I did, and then it's not done. A turret immediately starts shooting you. But you gotta stay focused, and there you go. If you get to the top left of that, in the line of that building, you're in the clear. And so at this point, I was adrenaline pumping and breathed a massive sigh of relief, because that was it for the clear. And because this is a tube loop game, the fun is not over. I get to talk a little bit about stage 2. But there you go, special bonus, 1,000,000 points. That's the culmination of, 6 months or so of, you know, not like obsessively playing this, but basically putting like half an hour, on average, half an hour or to an hour into it a day. And I found it really rewarding and really fun. It's probably Stockholm Syndrome, but I really like the game a lot, I would say. It's got so much going on that makes it feel different from everything that came before it, and even stuff that came long after it. It's its own thing, and certainly the like brutality of it is part of that. Just the feeling that you get when you beat it is like nothing else, because it is so brutal. So anyway, loop 2 is, loop 1 with rank up and everything that you would kind of expect. I had never seen it before until I played this. So this is me just like blindly trying to use my first loop strats, and that's not going to work. None of it feels the same, even remotely. None of it feels. Oh my God! Look at that! It's so fast. How could anyone have possibly two-walled this, or more? I don't know, but I think people have. Okay. So this works. Barely. The point blanking the guns here. I'm trying it. Okay. Ooh. Alright, this isn't going too bad. Oh! Alright, no more bombs. Oh, and I just got clipped. Now I can kind of like talk a little bit more about the 3-way shot, I guess. You see what I mean? Like, it's so interesting that like it's most useful when you're on the sides of the screen. That's just not usually the case. A spread shot usually is most useful when you're in the middle of the screen in a normal shooting game. But this one, yeah, you're creating this like sideways V if you're like almost all the way to the right or left, and that works. Or if you're up further, then you're all of a sudden killing stuff in the corners, in the top right and left corners of the screen, and that can feel really gratifying and be really cool. But of course, who wants to go up at all on the screen in this game with the Zako behavior being what it is? It's just it's a crazy like dare that the game does to you, and it feels really cool. It just feels really cool using this 3-way shot. I don't know how else to really explain it. Just the way that I'm doing it here, like using the the two V's and like your positioning to make this stuff work. It's neat. All right. Okay, so for some reason I didn't go up in point blank. I have no idea why I didn't, but I was just kind of like being lazy, I suppose. Just knowing I'm not going to get very far in the second loop and not really locking in. So here we go. Here's my attempt on the very last life to just Leroy Jenkins this fucking boss, and somehow I did it. I don't know how I just dodged that last like little bit of fire, but I think it's really funny that I kept going because I was definitely just anticipating slash almost wanting to just like end it, but nope, I survived. So I get to see a little bit of stage 2. First loop strat is to stay at the bottom left and then kind of slowly do what I'm doing here, which almost almost didn't work. Wow, yeah, it's just so much harder. Jesus. First loop strat, kinda. Wow. Oh my god, what? What? What the fuck? I went between the very, very close together shots of the item carriers, which I don't think has ever happened before, ever. Um, I guess that goes to show that the hitbox in Same 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 isn't too bad for being a pre-90s shmup. So take that for what it's worth. Whew. I can't believe I'm done with this game. It took over my entire video game playing life for, again, the half a year, better part of half a year. So it feels great to be done and to be able to move on to some other things. Definitely going to be playing some easier stuff and some chill Dojin games or whatever. But Same 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 is legendary for its difficulty. First and foremost, I would say it should be legendary for being a cool game in spite of that and a fun game in spite of that. Thanks for watching. Cheers, y'all.